Omo, imagine your own mother, the woman who carried you, looking at your own man like he belongs to her. Imagine her sitting right across from him, whispering things no mother should ever whisper. And imagine her believing with her whole chest that she deserves him more than you do. Stay with me because this story is about to get very uncomfortable.
Ma, you know your daughter won't like this.
That's if she finds out. Will you tell her? Just relax. Experience love from an experienced woman.
Please, Ma, stop this.
You know you want this.
Please.
Just relax. Wait now.
Ma, please, Ma. Ma, please.
But it did not begin here. It began 26 years earlier, in a sitting room with peeling paint and a calendar from 2003 that nobody had bothered to replace, where a 19-year-old girl sat on the floor, threading blue, gold, and red beads, and had no idea that her life was about to be sold. Her father cleared his throat. Adaize, Chief Okafor has spoken to us. Her hands went still. He has 2 cars, land in 3 places. He wants you as his wife. I haven't finished school, she said. You will finish as his wife. I want to study. I want to make things. I want... Adaize. Her mother's voice came from the corner, flat and final. You think beads will feed children. Be sensible. The word no was solid in her throat. She felt it sitting there. She swallowed it. Chief Emmanuel Okafor was 51 years old. Adaize was 19. He was not a man who beat you every day. He was worse. He was the kind who made you feel slowly and quietly like you are not quite a full person. He took her away from her sketchbooks, away from her beads, away from every small beautiful thing she had ever reached for. Not always with his hands, mostly with his silence, with that particular brand of cruelty that wraps itself in tradition and dares you to call it by its real name. She endured it, because what else was there to do? The only good thing that came from those years was her daughter, Chioma, small and watchful, with eyes that missed nothing. When Chief Okafor died at 63, his family did not waste time mourning. They moved through the house room by room. No male heir meant no claim. His eldest brother looked at Adaize and said, simply, you can go. She could not go back to her father's house. She had never forgiven them for what they did to her. So she took the money she had been saving, quietly, carefully, coin by coin over many years, and she disappeared into Lagos. She found a flat in Surulere that smelt of old paint. She set up a small provision store. She put one foot in front of the other every morning and she did not fall. She sent Chioma to school. She kept the lights on. But warmth, the soft, gentle kind that a mother's voice is supposed to carry, she could not find that anymore. It had been buried too long. She kept Chioma fed and clothed and educated. That was the contract she could manage. The rest, the I am proud of you, ne, the hugs at the end of the day, the sitting together and feeling safe, those things lived somewhere inside her she could no longer reach. Chioma grew up watching her mother from a distance that had no name. She did not grow up bitter though. She grew up determined. Chioma found beadwork the same way her mother once had, by instinct, by the deep, quiet pleasure of making something beautiful with her hands. She made bead bags, necklaces, earrings, waist beads in colors that made people stop and turn around on the street. She photographed them, put them online, and the world, which can sometimes surprise you with its hunger for beautiful things, bought them. The money paid her university fees, then her master's degree, fine art at Unilag first, then Yabatech. She did not ask her mother for money she knew wasn't there. She did not wait for encouragement that was not coming. She built the life her mother had been denied bead by careful bead, year by quiet year. She did everything Adaize had ever dreamed of, and she did it entirely on her own. Then she met Emeka. He stopped at her stall at a craft fair in Ikeja and asked questions that were not the usual questions. He came back the next day. By the third week, he had asked her to get puff-puff with him. She said yes because she was tired of saying no to things that might be good. Emeka Nwosu was calm, the way of someone who had decided to be calm, not passively, but as a choice. He read novels on weekends. He cooked jollof rice that, if you are being honest with yourself, was better than most people's mothers. He loved Chioma the real way. The kind that shows up consistently, that remembers small things, that sits with your frustration without trying to fix it immediately, that looks at all of you and chooses all of you without conditions or asterisks. In the first time in her life, Chioma had what her mother never had. That was when Adaize's eyes changed. The first time his car pulled into the compound, Adaize was in the kitchen in her old yellow house dress. She heard the engine and something in her brain simply stopped working properly. She dropped the ladle, left the stove burning, and ran toward her bedroom. Her slipper caught the rug. She went down hard, arms everywhere, stomach meeting the floor like a bag of garri hitting concrete. She lay there for 3 full seconds. Then she scrambled up, looked left, looked right, confirmed nobody had witnessed the incident, and limped to her room to change. She found a blouse she hadn't worn in 3 years, squeezed into it, patted powder on her face, chewed her lip for color, looked in the mirror and said with complete sincerity, not bad at all for a woman of experience. Then the smell of burning stew reached her, and she ran back to the kitchen. The second visit, she was prepared. She had been practicing a walk for 4 days, the slow, deliberate kind she had seen in Nigerian films. Shoulders back, eyes ahead, hips making their own separate announcement. She had also bathed with a special soap from a market woman who guaranteed it would make any man within 3 meters take notice, and then applied a perfume she had been saving since 2018, twice because the occasion clearly demanded it. She was, in every chemical sense, a walking cloud.
Emeka walked through the door and his sinuses immediately declared war on the situation. He sneezed. Not a polite sneeze, the sneeze of a man whose nose had been ambushed. Then another and another, a rapid, unstoppable sequence that bent him at the waist and sent tears running freely down his face. He groped blindly for the sofa and sat down. Adaize descended the hallway in her practiced walk, shoulders back, absolutely convinced she looked incredible, while the man she was targeting essentially dissolved in front of her. "Mommy," Chioma said slowly, "how much perfume did you use?" "A reasonable amount," Adaize said. Emeka sneezed into the sofa cushion. The third visit was the one that nearly broke her, though not in the way she planned. She had a red dress, purchased in 1999, worn once. She was still the same size, she was certain. An assessment the dress had very different feelings about. She stepped into it, pulled upward, and the dress reached mid-thigh and stopped completely. It would not go up, it would not come down. She was frozen, bent at the waist, stuck inside 25-year-old fabric that had decided this was its revenge. She heard the gate open, she heard their voices, she shuffled to the mirror in small hunched steps, like a woman receiving a punishment she could not explain to anyone, and she wrestled that dress in silence for 45 minutes, while laughter floated through the wall from the sitting room, easy, comfortable, the laughter of two people who had built something real together. She tried lying on the bed and rolling. She tried squatting. She whispered a prayer asking God for release without judgment. An hour and a half later, the dress finally surrendered violently, sending her stumbling backward into her wardrobe with a loud thud. She walked to the window just in time to watch his tail lights disappear around the corner. In the sitting room, Chioma hummed to herself as she cleared the dishes, happy, the uncomplicated happiness of a woman who had just spent the evening with someone who made her feel safe. Adaize pressed her forehead against the louver bars and stood there a long time. After the dress, the embarrassment stopped. Something worse began. Whenever Chioma was out and Emeka came by, Adaize walked her way into conversation with him and placed things carefully, like a knife between ribs, into what she said.
Chioma was selfish, had male friends she didn't mention, wasn't the faithful type, wasn't easy to love. She wrapped it all in maternal concern. I only want the best for both of you. Each time, Emeka listened, and each time he said the same thing. Ma, this isn't appropriate. I won't tell Chioma. I don't want to cause trouble between you, but it has to stop. It never stopped. One Tuesday afternoon, she called his number with a small, frightened voice. Something was wrong, she said. Please come quickly. He came because he was that kind of man. The compound was quiet. Chioma's car was gone. Adaize brought rice, well seasoned, still steaming, and a cold drink. He sat and he ate, watchful but hungry. Halfway through the plate, the room was doing something rooms should not do. Edges softened, the ceiling shifted, his legs turned heavy. He looked up at Adaize and found her watching him with a small, patient smile. Ma, his voice was thick now, did you put something in this food? Adaize folded her hands calmly. Emeka, you are a man of sense, but sometimes sense needs help. Today you will find out for yourself who is sweeter, me or my daughter. He was already standing. The room spun hard. His legs were concrete, but he moved, hand on every wall towards Chioma's room. Furthest door, a lock, that was all he needed. He got inside, turned the key, and the floor came up to meet him. Adaize knocked, called his name in English and Igbo, and the language of a woman who had done something she could no longer take back. The door stayed shut. Eventually, she went and sat in the sitting room. She sat there a long time. Chioma's key turned in the front door at 7:15. She found her bedroom locked from the inside. She knocked. She called his name. The lock turned slowly and the door opened, and Emeka stood there, grey, heavy-eyed, holding the frame, and the moment he saw her face, something in him finally unclenched. He held her. She held him back, hands going to his face, voice rising with fear. What happened? Why do you look like this? Adaize appeared in the hallway. I don't know how he got in there. I was in the kitchen. Chioma. Emeka's voice was slow but clear. I need to tell you everything from the beginning. He told it, all of it. The comments about her character, the dressing up, the perfume, the whispering, the things said to his face about her, and today, the fake phone call, the food, the smile, the locked door, and the floor. He told it without anger, with the quiet precision of a man who had been carrying it for months to protect the woman he loved and had reached the point where carrying it was more damaging than putting it down. The room was very quiet when he finished. He is lying, Adaize said. I don't know what this man has. Mommy, Chioma's voice was quieter than anger. Every time I came home after he visited you, you were dressed up, nice blouse, hair done, perfume. I noticed every time. I pushed the thought away because I didn't want it to be true. She paused. I believe him. I already suspected. I just didn't want to. She went into her room and started opening drawers. You cannot leave this house over a man. He is not just any man, Chioma said, her hands moving calmly, folding, packing. He drove 4 hours in traffic to attend my exhibition. He sits with me at 2 in the morning when I cannot sleep. He sees me, actually sees me, and chooses me every single time. She zipped the bag. I want to say something, she said. She stood in the center of her room. And then I am leaving, and you are going to hear it. She spoke without her voice breaking. She had cried this out long ago, in small pieces. She said she had spent her childhood thinking something was wrong with her, that she had done something to make her mother look past her instead of at her. She was 8 years old, believing she was not enough to love properly. She said she understood now what had been done to Adaize, that she knew her mother had been broken before she ever became one. But understanding it did not change what it had felt like to grow up hungry for something that was never given. She picked up the bag. I built this life myself. The craft, the degree, the man in your hallway. I built all of it with no warmth from you. And instead of being proud, you tried to take it. Nay, how could you? The face that had held itself together for 20 years broke. Not dramatically, slowly. The quiet collapse of something that has been holding for far too long. Adaize pressed both hands over her mouth. The tears that came were not managed or tactical. They were old. They had been waiting since 1999. "You are right," she said. Barely a voice left. "Everything you said." She looked at Emeka. "I put something in your food. I don't even know its proper name. I was not in my right mind. I am sorry, truly." She looked at her daughter. "You have everything I ever wanted. Everything they took from me before I could hold it. I watched your life and I could not bear it. Not because I didn't love you, because I loved what you had more than I knew how to be your mother. That is the most shameful thing I have ever said out loud." Her voice broke open. "I am sorry for every cold year. Every time I looked past you when you were right there. He is a good man. You are a good woman. A sweeto, the life you built. Go well, both of you. My blessing goes with you, for whatever it is still worth." Chioma looked at her for a long moment. Not forgiveness, not yet, but the door to it, slightly open, letting in a thin line of light. She picked up her bag and walked out. They drove in silence through Lagos, hawkers and okadas, generators humming behind walls, pepper soup smoke drifting from bukas on the roadside, the whole loud, indifferent city doing what it always does. "I am glad I could rely on you," Chioma said quietly. Emeka glanced at her, steady, warm. "It is only someone who does not know what they have that loses it. I know your worth. You are honest, faithful. You built everything from nothing and never complained once. I would be a fool to throw that away. Tufiakwa, I refuse." Chioma smiled the quiet kind, the kind that lives at the back of the mouth. She looked out at the city rolling past, the tail lights ahead painting the night red, the road opening up in front of them. She reached over and held his hand. He didn't need to. They drove toward the other side of the city, where their life together was already waiting. Some people look at what others have built and cannot see a blessing. They see only a mirror of everything they lost. And instead of healing the wound, they reach into someone else's life to take back what was taken from them. Adaize was not born bitter. She was made bitter. But bitterness carried long enough stops knowing where to go. It finds the closest person, the one you are supposed to protect. Deal with your past, not for strangers, for the people right in front of you who are still waiting, still hoping, still quietly needing you to choose them before it is too late. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to subscribe to Omar's African Tales, like this video and share it with your family and friends. Comment below and tell us what you think and let us know where you are watching from. We really would love to know. Also, have you ever had to choose between protecting someone you love and telling them a painful truth? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, keep loving, keep healing, and never stop choosing the people who choose you. Goodbye.